So we are with Luc Tuymans on the occasion of the exhibition called Untitled, co-curated with Thomas Hauseago, Muna El-Fitouri, and myself. And we decided to include a work by Luc, which was in his previous show, the Palazzo Grassi, called 2017, in a room called Death. So the first question, which is a bit general, is if you think that work is enough representative of yourself to have one work in a group show like that?
Well, I think it's representative in a way because it was also the poster child of the big show, the Palazzo Grassi, so it will, since that's here still the near, I mean, it's not that long ago, so it will, and I also picked that particular image as a poster child. So in that sense, it's reminiscent to sort of like very recent history to the place of Venice itself and all that. So I think it encompasses a lot of things.
It was the image we choose for the communication, for the posters and everything, and it speaks about death. And it was obvious because we came to see the show with Thomas and Muna, and immediately we all agreed to keep that work for this one in the Punta della Dogana, which is with Marlène Dumas.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you talk about death, and I saw the painting of Christ, you know, the painting based upon, who's the painter in with a shortened image? Because it's a classical thing.
Yeah, it's not Dieter signed, but the classic in Basel. It's in the museum in Basel. The German name.
Yeah. So, and in that sense, the image is also quite good because if I would have had to put an image of myself in the Baroque show, which of course we couldn't because we used it for my show in the Palazzo Grassi, it would have been exactly that same image that you have in the show now. So, and the other thing is also that it was enlarged on a banner and it was on the boat, so it changed in format. And in the show, of course, it adapted itself to the show, and here it comes back to its real format, which is not that large in a sense. But that's sort of extrapolation of an image that's been, on the one hand, mediatized, also comes from something that is not real because it's a projection of a face on a doll. So it's already an inertia in the image itself.
It's next to that diptych by Marlène Dumas, representing the body of the Christ death as in a coffin, and to another painting by her called Long Life, which speaks by itself because it's speaking about death. It's not a subject so easy in contemporary representation, even with all what happened recently. Artists who dare to confront death with that strong face-to-face in a way.
Mm-hmm. Death is always a sort of proposition because it's inevitable. Everybody will die. So this is one of the only certainties you have in life. And in that sense, it is rather a given in a way. And in that sense, you can either over-dramatize it, extrapolate it, make it into something like an event or not. And in my case, the image, as I said, is also due to the date it was painted, which was 2017, seeing the disaster zone we are living right now, which is sort of like a premonition to what that element of a catastrophic element should be, encompassed in just a face, which isn't a real face. It's a face that's mediated. It's a face that is actually non-existent. So as our existence could be from one day to the other, non-existent. So it's quite an irony within the image, which could be perceived as rather dramatic, as maybe one of the more dramatic, expressive images I've made in the face, because the face has these eyes and the way it looks, and has this real element of fear portrayed in the eyes that go open more than usual. And so, and the way it's lit, the way it's positioned against the dark background, all those things are classical in that sense of despair.
In a way, it's more about the fear than the direct representation of death, like it is on the Meret Oppenheim when she scans her skull, and the scans are you see the skull. Or so we included her in that room. And maybe the last question, because it's the center of the exhibition, is the idea of a studio, but not the actual studio, the place where it's the thinking and a kind of distance with time, and it's the heart of the exhibition. And we call it the studio. It's based on the part of Thomas Studio. So I wanted to know what's the studio space means for you.
The studio space for me means actually an ultimate freedom through the privilege to be there alone.
Yeah.
So being alone, I see as a privilege. I mean, of course, we had a lot of isolation, right? Which then, of course, also has kind of a problem. But on the other hand, in terms of the working space, it is this space that's rather isolated, which I see as a privilege. I mean, and in that sense, the space is very important because I need the element of concentration to work. Yeah. And concentration that is actually interlinked with the idea of a certain intensity that cannot be disturbed in the process of working, which on the one hand is very nervous and can be very stressful, but once it is in progress, it is actually a sort of process that is necessary in a way. So, because without its necessity, it would not be valid.
In that space, we included a lot of books as references about the artist in the exhibition, but books in general. And in your work, there's a lot of research to go up to an image chosen. So research is outside the studio, I guess.
Yeah, it's outside the studio.
Yeah.
The studio is a sole place of also the physical act of actually producing the image. And this is also the place where the intelligence changes from the head to the hands, so to speak. So it is a rather physical environment. And in that sense, it's also important that it remains this, has this, is captive within that particular idiom of doing what you have to do. I mean, so in this particular spot, and I mean, this spot is quite particular because it's and the one thing I'm very happy about is that, well, in the very first beginning of my artist practice, I also lived in the space where I worked, which was a small apartment, which was very annoying because it was intertwined with my life directly, because the bedroom, the smells, everything was encompassed in the 2 or 3 small rooms, because since I didn't have the money to have a separate studio, so the living room was the studio. And later on, of course, when I had my relationship with my girlfriend, then of course, then I was able to live with her and use this space separately, which was a big change, because at least I didn't destroy it. I mean, I actually overworked a lot of works by living with them, and made a lot of mistakes in the process. I mean, destroyed works I shouldn't have destroyed, or overworked them. And now, and since the moment that I could use it as a separate space, it became a separate space also in my mind, something I would go to, and when I would close the door, it was actually finished. I could, of course, return, but it was not something that would become so intrusively obsessive that you would sort of like continuously keep on looking, but because you will always see a mistake, you know.
Yeah, but it's nice to have mistakes in a painting. I like it.
No, of course, but I mean, it's also important to know when you have to stop. And this is a sort of barrier, which is also, yet again, the physical one, because you have to go to your studio to work. It's very purposeful. You don't go to studio not to work. So these are things that are in separation actually proven to be very valid for the whole working process.